And joining us now for our weekly visit is Larry Kudlow, of course, from CNBC. He's the host of the Kudlow Report and also the Larry Kudlow Show right here on WMAL Saturdays at 7 p.m. Hey, Larry, thanks for joining us today. A pretty somber day when you see what's going on up in Boston and the aftermath.
Hearts and prayers to Boston. Hearts and prayers to Boston, and we will find these guys. FBI will find them. You know they will.
Absolutely. And listen, it's difficult sometimes to pivot on a story like this and talk about the financial impact, but boy, we really did see an impact on Wall Street yesterday. How much of it, it was already going down before this attack, but how much of what we ended up seeing, one of the worst days in years there since 1983, the biggest drop for gold in one day, how much of it is linked to what we saw in Boston?
I don't think the gold was linked to Boston at all. All that happened way before Boston broke, so I'm going to put that aside. You hate to even talk about the mundane at a time like this, but let's talk about it. Gold has been cruising way too high, and the article I wrote, Falling Gold is a Good Thing, yesterday was the worst gold sell-off, at least in percentage terms, since the early 80s, and I just want to make a couple very brief points. My view, falling gold is a good thing, okay? Gold mainly was sort of the end of the world scenario, you know, the rise in gold in the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. The Fed was too loose. The world was coming to an end. The dollar was coming to an end. Everything was coming to an end. I don't buy it. All that is past. We're in a mild recovery right now. And I actually don't even think we're in an inflation problem right now. I actually don't even think the Fed's printing press argument is relevant because that money is not being spent in the economy. So what I'm saying is go back to the 80s and 90s. Think of it in those terms. Gold prices fell from $800 an ounce to $250 an ounce under Reagan, under Clinton. Those were boom times, okay? Bad gold is usually good for stocks and good for the economy. It shows confidence, shows the dollar, it shows low inflation, it shows people would rather invest productively, in the economy. And so if gold continues to slip lower, I would regard it as a long-term plus, not a minus.
Well, I didn't think it was all that great when I looked at my portfolio yesterday and the gold was tanking. But I'll take that maybe there's better news to come. Now, the other side of it, though, is that after you did have the explosion, stocks did tumble a bit, down 265 points on the Dow yesterday.
Yeah, it was off, if I'm not mistaken, before the Boston story hit, it was off close to 200. So the last 65 points, of course, was the terrorist act in Boston. And again, regarding stocks, I would keep my powder dry because I think that earnings continue to rise. The economy is growing at about 2-3%. Not to my liking. It should be growing much more, but it's growing. Profits are growing. The economy is growing. And one other point I want to make here, the dollar has actually been pretty stable over the last year or more. That's a good sign for the USA. We have the best economic story of the big countries, and that's one of the reasons we're attracting investment. And I think this doom and gloom over the gold story yesterday is way, way, way overbaked. I mean, at the end of the day, rising gold is not good. Falling gold is good.
Right.
Rising gold, the world's going to hell in a handbag. Falling gold, things are going to be okay. And that's sort of my basic point of view.
But, you know, after the attacks of 9/11, this isn't anything like 9/11.
Right.
But after the attacks of 9/11, we did see the economy go into a slump. This is a much smaller event, but do you sense that it will have any kind of economic impact?
I do not, no. I think at the moment, God willing, this is contained to Boston. Whether there's more terrorism out there in other cities, my Lord, I have no way of knowing that. Obviously, like everybody, I hope it's not true. But no, I don't think so. 9/11 was 9/11 knocked out the financial system, and that knocked out the economy, and we were already in a brief recession. So it was a pretty awful situation. This is nothing like that so far, and let us hope that it continues to be nothing like that so far.
Larry Kudlow, the other big story of the day is the Gang of Eight immigration bill. Now, they have postponed hearings in light of the events yesterday, but they are releasing the bill today, and we got a little bit of the sneak peek at it late Sunday night, and I'm wondering what your impressions are and what you think the financial markets reaction might be to it.
I don't know all the details in it, but I am partial to an immigration reform bill and have been following Marco Rubio in particular, whom I know and respect and admire. I want to see immigration reform. I think it's exactly on the right track. The combination of border security plus some sort of legalization, and then plus, of course, pay your fines, pay your taxes, learn to be an American citizen. I basically like that. I'm in favor of that. I also want to add one economic angle.
Yes, sir.
There's been some good work done on this. More immigration is pro-growth. If it's done in an orderly way, if it's done in a legal way, we need the brainiacs at the high end, and we also need the low-end wage earners. Our labor force in the USA has not grown. In fact, as you guys know, the participation rate has been falling steadily.
Right.
That's one of the problems with the employment story.
Right.
We need to replace the labor force, and more people working is pro-growth. Douglas Holtz-Eakin, former CBO director, did a very good study on this. Basically, 500,000 immigrants each year, again, under the proper controlled legal situation.
Right.
That could add as much as 1% to GDP over the next 10 years, reduce the budget deficit by nearly $3 trillion, and grow the economy faster. It's very positive if it's done right. So, although I do not know the details, count me as a big supporter for the Rubio immigration reform.
All right, Larry Kudlow, we'll leave it there, and we'll keep you in that column of pro-Rubio. Thanks, Larry Kudlow, and we'll continue talking about immigration as the weeks go further.